Well, good morning, everybody, from once again sunny downtown Chagrin Falls. Um, my name's John. Most of you probably know me already. You guys have, we got a full house today and must be doing something right here. And a couple little housekeeping items is that I don't know if you've gotten an email this week, but um, today technically is the last day of the kitchen webinars, and we start the home office next week, and then we go into the bathrooms. And what I thought would be a great idea is, I don't know how many of you have heard me talk at the shows, but I've got a couple of really popular seminars, and I thought I would give you guys an extra bonus. So next Saturday, 9 o'clock start, we are going to do the 25 tips to designing a perfect kitchen. And there we'll delve into countertop with everything. It's really, and there's not even 25 tips. We're probably at 40 or 50 tips. Even if you heard me at the show, it might be a good refresher. And then the following Saturday, 9 o'clock start, is going to be Kitchen Trends 2020. So you get to hear my talks if you've missed them at the show. If anybody wants to hit me a little question and say, sounds good, that people are going to listen in, whether it's going to be worthwhile, I think it will. So you get 2 added bonus webinars from me. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to light the kitchen. And you know what, we can design a kitchen. We've come a long way. We've talked about appliances, we've talked about accessorizing, we've talked about designing, we've talked about picking cabinetry. You can do all that. And then all of a sudden, if you can't light it and have it be effective, it's all for naught. And so what we're going to do is we're going to light the kitchen. So as we move forward, okay, we'll spend half of the webinar, maybe a third to half of the webinar, going through showing you pictures and things like that. And now we're going to take the last half, and we're going to, if you guys remember that designing of the kitchen about 2-3 weeks ago, we're going to take that kitchen and we're going to light it for us. Okay, so in this webinar, we're going to get a basic understanding of the 3 kinds of lighting in the kitchen. There's 3 different types. Maybe 2. It depends on if you want to do any accenting of things, but ambient lighting, very important. Task lighting is the most critical, and then accent lighting, and we'll explore what all those are. We'll explore the different sources of light. You know, LED lighting today is very popular. Almost everything we're putting in today is LED, and I'll explain what that is. And then we'll apply our knowledge of what we learned into a working design, and that's going to be the second half. And then time permitting, which it probably will be, we'll throw in some outlets and I'll show you things like that. And it all depends, you know, when you folks are out there, you're going to be getting permits. I'm a big believer in permits. In fact, when I do my work, I don't do it without a permit. So we want to follow all the state codes and everything else. Okay. Okay, so let's move forward here. Here's the 3 principles of lighting, like I talked about. We have our task, our ambient, and our accent. What the task is would be like your recessed lighting in the ceiling. When you're working on a task, under cabinet lighting is very important. You know, under cabinet lighting would be task lighting. What would ambient lighting be? Ambient lighting is lighting that creates a mood. So what we could do sometimes, if I do floating cabinets in a European design, I'll light underneath. Ambient lighting could be shooting lighting on a brick wall or a fireplace or things like that, you know, to wash that brick with light. That's creating a mood. That's ambient lighting. And then accent lighting will be lighting, let's say we wanted a glass cabinet in the kitchen and we wanted to light that. You know, that would be accent lighting. Or sometimes I'll do a beautiful art piece or something in a bathroom, and we'll drop a pin light down on that light, on that object. So that would be the accent lighting. So that's our 3 main focuses of light. Okay, task lighting. Task lighting serves a purpose that it aids the worker with bright, shadowless light. Okay, under cabinet lighting we just talked about. Okay. Over the island, that's going to be something that we have to make a decision on when we design today. Do we want to drop pendants over the island, or do we want to just do recessed lighting? You know, So that'll be a decision we're going to have to make. I would say probably 90% of the people are going to drop a pendant, not a single pendant, usually 3 pendants depending on the size of the island. The one today, the island's not that big, we might go with 2. Okay, ambient lighting, good for the casual activities in a room. Fill shadows, reduces contrast, lights vertical surfaces to give it a space a brighter feel. Okay. And there's this, what I was talking about, creating the mood and everything. Another thing too is it's almost a given today, but you really shouldn't, you really don't assume anything. Do you want to put your lighting on a dimmer? So that's something important to tell the electrician. Yesterday we finished a job and they wanted a couple of areas of USB. This is something important, which is really nice. So you don't have to be looking around for those little blocks or cubes, whatever Apple calls them. So do you want to put an outlet that also has a USB receptacle to it? Really, really popular. So that's something. All these little things, you have to think about as you move forward. Accent lighting used to highlight an object. Objects include artwork, architectural details, collectibles. Okay, so let's talk about the gallery before we jump into our design. What I did was, this is all my work coming up, and I just put probably, I don't know, 5 to 8 pictures together, and I'll talk a little about how I lit each one. Here's my best friend. My friend and I got together probably, time's flying in life, about 2 years ago. Boy, is this my best friend. Now, why is this my best friend? This is LED lighting, and do you notice how thick it is? It's a 1/2 inch thick. This is what's referred to as a wafer, an LED wafer. So what's happening here is that's just the thickness of the drywall. Now, I tend to be very particular as far as laying things out and how I want things to line up and everything else. And I could always, would I tell the electrician, get as close as you can. We'd open the ceiling up. Not only do we have to deal with the joist, like Murphy's Law, I'm a big believer in Murphy's Law. I want to center a light over the sink. What do you think is over the sink centered? The joist, okay? So then I say, okay, then let's split and put 2 cans, 2 smaller cans off to the sides, so to balance it. Or HVAC, all the cold air returns or the heat runs or the plumbing, it's all up in your ceiling. But now look at this, baby. Now what we can do is say, who cares about all that stuff? Let's put this stuff where we want it because it's only the thickness of the drywall. And so that's so, so nice. And I use that probably almost every job today. Again, that's called a wafer. Okay, kitchens. Any friends out there in Strongsville today? This is a kitchen that I finished about 3 or 4 months ago. And just look at the general lighting. I'm not going to dwell on it today, but here's how we did it. There's that 3 pendants dropped over the island. There's the recessed wafers. And then notice that we have the under cabinet lighting. So there's 3 lights in here. We have our task, which are the recessed cans. We have our under cabinet lighting. And then we have exit lighting, and you'll find that in those behind those glass doors, lighting that pottery in there, in those art objects. That is, we put some lights up in there. So we have all 3. NT Lake County folks, Mentor. This is a kitchen with this client. These people are always very close to my heart. This is a kitchen that was finished about 5 to 7 years ago. And again, you're going to see a lot of consistencies here. See how those cans are all lined up perfectly and things like that? That's out of coincidence, pretty much luck that we were able to get it that good. That was before these wafers were out. The other thing too that you have to decide on, recessed cans come in different sizes. Okay, you don't have to go with these big 6-inch cans. Sometimes I'll use 4-inch cans. Those look like that we use 4-inch cans on that. The other thing too, if you look, you see there's the pendants over the peninsula. There's our accent lighting in the glass cabinets. Here's something we talked about with appliances last week. Do you remember we talked about the counter depth refrigerator? There it is. Now the disadvantage, the only thing that I'm not overly wild about is when you put a panel on that refrigerator. Do you notice how when you put the panel on that refrigerator, remember I said the doors still stick out. Look at that door sticking out 3 to 4 inches there. And we tried to hide it by going black, but again, you're gonna run it. I'd like not to put panels on counter depth refrigerators because of that application right there. This is an interesting kitchen. This is a kitchen that I really loved being involved with. And my favorite part of this kitchen, remember we talked about cabinetry, that European concept, minimalistic. Notice there's not a lot of wallpaper, there's not a lot of color. The cabinets and all that are doing the talking there. But look at what's missing in this kitchen. And on this kitchen, I work with a lighting engineer, really talented guy. There's no recessed lighting. That kitchen is so well lit with LED, really strategically placed LED lighting on top of the cabinets. And that light is bouncing off that ceiling and lighting that kitchen. So we have that as our task and ambient. We have our under cabinet lighting. And then we have our task lighting. Look at that interesting light over the island. Very well lit kitchen without any recessed cans. There's another thing too. There's these recessed cans out there that are like 4 inches by 4 inches. And they're actually, and we'll see some coming up. I think I have a picture at the end here where they're actually mudded in. So you don't have the trim rings or anything. So the drywall, just, you really don't see all of those little circles, you know, going around with the covers and the lens and everything else. Okay, this is a kitchen. We used it as an example, I think, when we were talking about cabinetry. This is my a kitchen down in Hudson. So we look at this kitchen. Okay, there's our recessed lights. Now remember that teeter-totter and how the light fixtures are going to dictate. Is it going to be more traditional? Is it going to be more towards the feel of transitional versus traditional versus country? This one is definitely a traditional kitchen. Look at the light fixtures that she picked up there. So those light fixtures are both task and ambient. They're creating a beautiful mood. And then if you look over that refrigerator, you know, matching the leaded glass, I put lighting in there. So that acts as a beautiful accent point for that. Okay, here's one. This is, see those cans? That's what I'm talking about. Here's an interesting feature. And I think what I'll do is I'll take this opportunity to talk about LED lighting. There's LED lighting is basically light emitting diodes. It's really, really nice how I can use to light things. Like one of the things that you're going to start seeing in magazines and everything is countertops made of onyx, or some of these quartz. I think Cambria, if I'm not mistaken, has come out with a onyx type of quartz, where what we can do is we can light underneath the countertops. And the problem in the past where I had to have problems, you know, I had situations with the lighting was, well, how do I replace the bulbs and what do I do and things like that. So what's happening here as we go through this with LED lighting is actually it's little light emitting diodes. I'm not going to get caught up in the technical part of this, but basically it's lighting that very energy efficient. The cost would come down a long, long way. And the lighting is going to last you at least 10 to 20 times longer than a conventional incandescent. One of the things when I give my talks, I always ask for a raise of hands when we get to the lighting part of my seminar, and I say, who are the hoarders out there? And I always get one, usually a gentleman, and he'll raise his hand with a big smile on his face, and he has a garage full of 75 watt light bulbs. And he went out and ordered them before they were done away with. So what's that telling us is that as we start going out now and looking at Cleveland Lighting or all these other places or online, you're going to see that most of these fixtures are going to be LED. Now, LED can come with light bulbs. LED can come with strip lights like you can see here under cabinet lighting. The thing that's so important to you guys out there, and write this down, is that the problem with the LED lighting, now this is what I love about this space. Do you notice the lighting is all the same color? What you don't want to do is you don't want to go and have your under cabinet lights be a different color than your accent lights, than your recessed cans, and then you got this hodgepodge around the kitchen. So what you want to do is you want to make yourself aware of Kelvins. That is the measure of the color of light. Now, if you go with high Kelvin, usually natural light is around 27 to 3000, 2700 to 3000 Kelvins. So what you want to do is you want to target in there. And you don't want, I would say this kitchen looks whiter. This is not a kitchen that I did, but this kitchen looks whiter. I would say the Kelvins on this kitchen are probably going towards 3500 to 4000 Kelvins. You see it's a whiter light. So you want to be careful with that. And the lower you go down the scale, the warmer you get. So you want to make sure on that. Now, another interesting thing with the LED lighting, I finished a bathroom in Novelty. And if you get on my website, you'll see this bathroom. It was I won an award with it about 2 years ago. And I can go now. So the client comes home. What we did was we put a wall, we washed a wall with light, stone, like river rock. And then I went and put LED lighting. I pulled the mirror forward. So I was able to sneak LED tape lighting between the mirror and the stone. And then we put this LED tape light behind the mirror so it would wash, again, creating totally ambient lighting. So it created a feel, it washed the wall of the stone. I hand her a remote when she comes home and I say, here's your remote. She says, why do I need a remote? Can't I just have a switch? I said, oh, you might want to try it. So she tries it. And what it does is it allows now to change the color. So now, if you remember growing up with the lava lamp, all the different colors and all the pastels, that's what it can do. So this kitchen with that strip lighting, we could go and take right in there and we could have a remote and we can have that lighting change up on that soffit, change colors at night. Let's say you're done cooking and you go into the other room and you're entertaining. Could you see that light just beautifully just changing colors very subtly? So we can do that with LED lighting. And here's the big thing today, I'm not breaking the bank. That's what's really nice about it. So those are some of the things with the LED lighting. Now, one thing that's the other thing too about that, just so you know, when I was talking, and I say this every show, I remember the chair. I had a 30-year-old young lady come up to me after the talk, and she really corralled me down when I was going back to my booth, and she said, John, I just got to say thank you. I said, for what? She said, for mentioning that lighting, that chromotherapy. And I said, oh, you're welcome. She says, you know, I suffer from severe depression. And my therapist told me that the chromotherapy is something I should look into. She said it made a world of difference for me. So it's not just the pretty pictures and all that out there. There's really some merit to this also. So those are all the different things with that. Okay, so the last thing on this slide, I just finished, actually the one I did the bathroom, we did the kitchen last year. And we use this lighting system. Now look at this, there's a company out there, if you guys are taking notes, Lightology. And if you ever get to Chicago, it is, I think, the best lighting store in the country. And I'm sure they probably have a terrific website, but it's called Lightology. Boy, you want to go in and get light fixtures and things like that. I'm sure they do e-commerce too. But the thing that you want to look on their website, or even look the company up separate, it's called Edge, E-D-G-E. It might be called Pure Edge. But look at the different things that you can do with LED lighting. Now, this kitchen is lit. See those? It's actually, look at that linear look. Look at over the island, how they have that rectangle. We can cut into the drywall and put a channel in, and then put the LED in, and then put a lens on top. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide. and it's all right into the drywall. That would light your kitchen beautifully. Home offices, everything. So now look at the lines and the clean sophistication there. So that's something. Now you could use that as an accent, task, ambient, whatever you want to use it for. Okay. Okay, enough of that. So now let's go and change direction. And any questions? Anybody have any questions before I jump into the designing? I'll bring, for the folks that were not in that, okay, and if anybody had missed any previous webinars, I've had some people say, you know, John, I couldn't make one or whatever. They are on my website. You just got to contact me for a password for the previous ones. Okay, so this is, if you remember, when we talked about working on the designing of a kitchen, here was our kitchen here, and I'll refresh your memory. Okay, so this was the kitchen here. Here was the island. There was the sink. If you remember, I had the owner put this large window in, overlooking a beautiful backyard. This was all counter space, and there was a pro style range. Here's the island, okay? And then the refrigerator here was with the command center. So let me go to the elevations now so you just can get a feel. We did two different options. We took an option with taking the cabinets down to the countertop. We did not taking these cabinets down to the countertop. We put the TV over here. There's the sink. There's the large window. Refrigerator. Okay. And then here we have, there's the pro style range, and here's the island. Okay. So what we'll do first, let's light this kitchen up, and let's determine where we're going to want the lighting. So let's just walk through here. I would definitely want to do under cabinet lighting. Now, one of the things with the hoods today, they all come with lights. Again, how particular are you? Okay, because remember, again, it's all going to be LED lighting. Now, one of the things with these hoods, depending on the pricing on the hood you go with, and you know, like if you do a custom hood or whatever, you'll have the option, some of these manufacturers today, to go still use halogen bulbs versus the LED. Most people want the LED, but let's say you're going to go, the hood comes with halogen lighting. You just want to make sure, again, I'm splitting hairs here, but you want to make sure what the color of that light is, because we go and put the hood in here, and let's say this is halogen, it's going to be a warmer light, but we definitely want to do the LED here underneath. Then what happens is that we're going to run into a situation where we might have a little variance in the color. So that's just something to keep in mind as you go. Okay. So we're going to want to do under cabinet lighting. When we do our electrical, we're definitely going to need, there's that microwave, we're going to need to put an outlet in there. And we're going to want to put an outlet in the island anyways. By code, you have to, and you want to. Okay, and then as far as lighting over here, we're going to want to light, I put a soffit board across the top to carry the crown across. So we're going to want to drop some cans in there. And then accent lighting, we're going to want to put lighting up in here. Okay. And then we're going to want to switch it. I think what I'm going to do is go under the premise of putting the cabinets to the countertop. Okay. So let's get started. Now, I am very particular, as I said, but for a time standpoint, I am not going to go and really dimension off and be overly accurate as far as you know, my layout goes. Let me move my elevations down here. You can see why after 35 years in business, I still get excited coming to work every morning. But while I'm doing this too, by the way, just a couple of things happening out there. Things are really opening up. I've had, my virtual world has really, really gone well. And now we're going back out into the clients' homes this week, and the places are open. I have not lost a beat with clients as far as virtual meetings with appliance stores and this and that, you know, so everything has gone well. So if you guys are chomping at the bit, with a lot of people are, now's the time to really get out and start picking back up steam. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and first I want to find the center point between the island and that, or if there's a doorway, you know, things like that, which I'll show you. I'm just drawing basically some center lines here. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so what I'm doing is, here's a hallway right here. And so what I want to do is I'm just going to draw my center line, because what you want to do is what we're going to do is we're going to put recessed cans in, okay? To start, we're going to do recessed cans in this kitchen. And what we're going to do is I just want to find center points in my walkways. So if you notice what I'm doing, I'm finding all my center points. And then we're going to go and put our cans in, okay? So here, I'll show you 1 minute how that's going to work. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I have all my symbols. Here's my symbol for a recessed can. Now what I want to do, the first thing I want to do is let's go to the sink. Remember our wafer? This is where it becomes important. Now here I have the drop soffit, the board, so I'm okay. But so now what I want to do is I want to go and I want to center right over the sink. Okay, so there's our first light in the kitchen. Now, since we have this long board, the long window, what I would do is, and I like to usually put my cans anywhere from 48 to 54 inches apart. And again, are we going to use 4-inch or 6-inch? Now, what I would like to use in the soffit board, I would have spec with the electrician probably 4-inch cans. So there is our lighting for over the sink. Okay, so now what we've just done, we've just given plenty of lighting. We centered a light here, we put a light here and a light here. Okay, so now this is all lit. Now it's not just as simple as the lighting goes. How do we switch things? I'm going to switch as we go. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll find out, is the client left or right-handed? Okay, and let's assume they're right-handed. So I'm going to put a switch there. Okay, now, do you want to have the switching for these cans separate, or do you want to have them turn on with all the lighting in the kitchen? So what I'm going to do, 99% of the people want those separate. Okay, so there we go. We just have lit that right there. One thing, I'm going to shoot a lot at you now too with electrical as you go, so hopefully you're taking good notes. One of the things with the disposal, there's such a thing called an air switch now. So you don't need to have a switch for the disposal anymore. It's like a $100, $150 item where it's a button that goes on the countertop. So now, the reason I'm thinking of that now is if there was going to be a switch for the disposal, then what I would have done, I would have gone and put the switch on the other side. So here I'm going to gang an outlet. So now I've got an outlet. I'm not going to worry about centering it. I've got an outlet and a switch on this side. And then what I would have done over here is I would have went and put a, you know, naturally I'm going to put another switch, another outlet over here. Okay, there, got it? Okay, so now we're good. Now the thing you have to run into with do-it-yourselfers out there, there's a code. You can't have more than 4 feet of counter space without an outlet. So that's something really to consider here. So what we have here is, you should notice that, remember, these cabinets go down to the counter. So really the counter would stop about right here. You notice I'm very close to that 4 feet. So what I may want to do on the field is I just may want to, again, I'm getting a little too technical maybe, but I want to split that a little bit wider, you know, so that I cover all my 4 foot. Okay, so that's that. Now let's do general lighting. So do you notice that there's my center point of this aisle here between the 2 areas, and this is my center point coming down this way. So my first can where I would put will be right here. Okay, And then what I normally do, again, I'm not going to get specific here. Let me turn off my, I'm not going to really, for time purposes, lay out exactly distances. Okay, again, see how I'm almost at that point right there, centering it with that can over there. And then I just come down. Okay, do you see what just happened? I just lit all my traffic flow right there. Okay, now coming down this way, I have to make a decision. Do I keep this center line? I think I do. Okay, and I would then come and put a can. Let me just see how it works centering it here. Somebody just asked, is LED dimmable? Yes, it is. The only I don't know if the colored one, I don't know if the colored LED is dimmable. That I'm not sure on, but okay, now do you see what I'm doing here? Okay, I'm looking at this light up here. There. And there. And then let's throw one right there. Okay, how'd we do? I think it looks good. So we've got our lighting going here. And now what do we do in this space right here? Okay, so what I'm thinking that we do is we come back with these two cans. And we go about right there. So now what's nice is that those cans, I don't want to get them too close. I have two options. I can do this like this, or what I might look, let's just put that in there. Or the other option is to, you guys remember that, the other option is to get rid of this one and center this over the refrigerator. Okay, like that. I'm not wild about that as much. Let's go back. Let's just for conversation, keep it today, the two cans, lining up, okay? So now we've got that. So now what's left? We got some very important things that are left. We have to decide, what do we want to do over the island? Let's make this interactive. Somebody out there shoot to me. If you can, somebody shoot quickly. Do we want to put cans or do we want to put pendants? I'll let you guys decide. Okay. So while somebody's sending me that, okay, somebody wrote here, let me get into my questions here. We will have a ceiling in our kitchen that is a 312 pitch. How do you like to do ceiling lights for a non-flat? That's a great question. Go to my website and go on my gallery. I did a bathroom recently. They have these recessed cans, and you can't just go to the store and buy them. I think you have to order them. And they come, and I don't know if they come with the LED wafer or whatever, but they have ones that are pitched for the ceiling. Now, also the other thing to consider when you're going, here's a big bonus with LED lighting. Anybody have high ceilings in their living room or family room or things like that, so what you run into there is always having to replace the bulbs. Now with the LED, it's going to be years before you have to go up there and do that. So that's a good question. Okay. So what do we want to do here? Let's put the pendants in. Okay. Let's go here. Get my pendant. Now this island, there's a rule about working in thirds. Okay. And I like to work, in thirds with this. But this island is so small. Usually islands, when people say how big is an island, it depends on the kitchen, but usually it's going to be anywhere from, I would say, people when they do an island, if they can get the size in, starting at around 100 to 108 inches, which is about 8 to 9 feet. And that would get you definitely 3 pendants. Now, the reason that I got to be careful here with pendants, the one thing that we're blessed with here for our purposes drawing, you notice they didn't want anything sink or they didn't want anything in the island. So I don't have to worry about working over a sink or a cooktop or something. But we're going to drop this pendant now, but we want to be careful. We want to put 2 in. So, and we don't want to, see if I put 3 in, one would have to go here, one would have to go here, and the other would go here. What's that problem? Well, look right there when you're sitting. So what I would do in this situation is you definitely want 2, or you could go with a bar. You could go with a bar light, you know, like a longer fixture. But what I would do is I would come in, instead of working off the center here on this one, I would work off my ends. I would say, okay, let's come in 15 to 18 inches here. And let's come in 15 to 18 inches here, okay? And there they have them. There's the 2. And what's nice about that is that now all of a sudden it's not gonna hit your head. You wanna make sure with pendants, I wanna make sure I'm usually a minimum of 30 to 36 inches apart, which I am. Now, here's a tough one. Let's switch this thing. Where do we wanna switch? Let's start thinking about switching. I think we've got all these, and then we'll come and do the under cabinet lighting. But here's the rule. You need to, when you walk into a room from outside, a door, whatever, you need to be able to turn a light on. So here's an entranceway. We've got to get a switch in here. Here's an entranceway from the bedrooms and that. We have to get a switch on for here. And here you're walking in. You have to get a switch for here. This is into that dining room. Now, what I would do is, the way I would start is I would put a switch here. And this switch here would take care of walking from here and walking from here. Okay, so let's decide, do we want all these lights to turn on at once? I would probably say yes. Okay. I would probably say yes. So let's do that. Let's get our switches. Now, if you switch, there's a term out here. I'm going to make you guys dangerous when you start talking to people. There's a term out here called 3-way, 4-way. And what that means is you want to turn your lights on from multiple locations, the same system. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these lights on from 3 different areas. That is going to be called a 4-way system. So what we're doing, we're going to put, there's our 3 switches. Okay. So now what I do, I'm going to go to the cans and run my lines. I'm not going to do them all. I'm not going to take the time to do them all, but okay. So we just go around, we connect them all. Okay. When I work with electricians, I always say, don't, you know, they always ask me, you know, about centering. And I said, you know what, don't worry, I've got a big magic marker. And I always go out with the contractors and I, in my shorts and summer flip-flops, in the wintertime, my jeans, and get that marker out. We lay all this stuff on the floor. We lay out the island, we do everything, we just lay out exactly. Okay, so you get the gist of that. Okay, so now here's a question. What do I do about the doggone lights on the island? Where do I switch them? Okay. Where I want to switch them, I think maybe let's put them on the, how about we put them on the island so we don't have to walk around. Now, if you notice something here, what I did on the island, that's a board. That's an apron board. So I didn't just throw a countertop with an overhang. Look at the nice molding I did. There's the column. So that's actually a board. So you know what I can do? Watch this. For my outlets and things like that. You guys shoot me sometimes, or you want to shoot me, but you don't have a choice. The side of the cabinet, look, they wanted a beautiful decorative side panel. Can you see cutting an outlet or a switch into that? People sometimes, they cringe when that has to be done. But look what I can do. I have this apron area. I can go ahead, turn my outlet or switch on the side, and I can put my outlets right in there. So let's just go And then I have to decide which side do you want to put it on. So a great spot would actually be on this because you don't see it, because here's my cabinetry. I have an apron there that's probably about 9 inches. So what I can do is you don't see it walking into the room. You don't see it from any strategic area. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go, okay, and there it is. So it's lit. And then the other thing I can do then is I can go and put in my outlets. Remember that microwave? Outlet for the microwave, and then we can throw an outlet right over here. We can actually, I don't know if I have room turning it on its side here, but for conversation, let's put it there. The island is done. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now what's missing? Something that's missing is we want to have fun with this little guy. What this little guy is, this is what I refer to as a puck light. So this light are going to go in here right to light up these glass cabinets. Okay. And then where I would probably switch that is I would gang it with this switch. Okay. And then these lights would turn on separate. And then the last strategic lighting in this kitchen, which we definitely can't miss. Now, let's say this was all, let's say that was a cabinetry here. Where are we here? Let's say this was all glass. They wanted all glass here, okay? One of the things that we can do, remember the framed and frameless cabinetry? Let's say that was framed cabinetry. We can actually take LED tape lighting behind the door, behind the frame, and we could run our LED tape lighting in the front down the sides. Okay, and what that allows us, let's say you don't want glass shelves, you want wood shelves. We can have glass doors with wood shelves, and we can run this LED lighting right down the front on both sides. Okay, so now we have to decide, do we want to put lighting underneath so that we see our toaster and garage and everything? I think we should. I think we should. So what we're going to do, let's go to our under cabinet lighting. Now you have the choice. LED comes, and it doesn't have to be LED. You could still use fluorescent, you can still use xenon, things like that. But what LED does, okay, it allows you to put a fixture in, or it allows you to put in tape. It's like the thickness of Scotch tape, and it sticks. You just roll it right underneath. Okay. One of the things that happens, let me go back 1 second here. I want to show you something. This kitchen. Let's see how close you can see. Right here, okay, underneath these, if you're going frameless, underneath these cabinets with frameless cabinetry for a client, I order a 3/4 inch thick board. That's the depth of the cabinet. And I get my contractors to go and route out a space to channel for those little LEDs. What a beautiful finished touch. So if you're going to do the tape, then we can do that. And it'll even come with a little lens cover and things like that. So that is really, really, really nice. If you decide, you know what, John, I don't want to get into the LED tape. I just want to throw a fixture up there. You want to make sure they're called little inch. I think they're called little inch. I don't use them much anymore, but they're either fluorescent or they're LED or they're xenon. But then you have a fixture underneath and you have frameless cabinetry, so there's no recess underneath. So what do? I will order a light strip that just goes around the cabinet. It's about 1 inch thick, which acts as a nice trim piece. So that's something to think about. Let's just see what happened here. See right here, okay, if you look here, That's framed cabinetry, so that's recessed up underneath. So that hides the lighting. Now, I probably still did the LED tape there, but if I wanted to just go and put a fluorescent fixture up underneath, you can do it without, if you go framed cabinetry, without having to have a light strip there, okay? Okay, so let's go back and say where we want, we're gonna do tape today, how's that? Okay, so we're gonna put in where the appliances are, LED tape. LED tape. Remember, that was my TV there, okay? Okay, I'll just copy this. Okay. And then we want to switch it. Now, what I would do, remember I told you I was a little on the, I'd like to use the word anal, that on the anal side here. So what I'm going to do, we have to decide, and I actually have the homeowner with me when we do all this. I don't make these myself. Now, usually the homeowner says, John, what do you think? Just do it. But I still walk through with them on everything. Okay, so here's the switch. What do you think that switch is going to be for? Look at the balance, okay? Outlet switch, outlet switch. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to have that as our under cabinet lighting. Okay. And then we're going to go and we're going to just go around. Okay. Now, again, you have to decide, do you want these, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be running around your room always trying to go and have 100 different switches, to do that. So you want to just make sure that I like to do it all at once. So I will ask the client then, where do they want the switches for the under cabinet? They may be over at the stove most of the time and they want to turn them on from over there. So it all depends. And then over here, here's another question. Do we switch this under cabinet for the appliances with these over here? That's a hard one. Two choices. If we use the switch here, then that we only have one switch. Or we can say, John, we're not in this area as much. Can you just give me another switch here to do that? Okay, so that's a flip of the coin. To make it my life easy, since I'm here, I'll just switch it here. Okay, because there may be times that you're working over there that you don't want, you may want this lighting on here only when you're using the toaster or things like that. And you don't want to be promoting those appliances and lighting them up, But then again, a lot of people have a lot of nice decorative small appliances, so you want to show them off. So that's something there, okay? So let's just go through and where I think we need some outlets, okay? You guys, how good's your memory? Remember that command center? We had a charging drawer. Command center's there. Remember our refrigerator? Here's a good one, a pantry and a kitchen. Or let's say in a back hallway or something, a lot of times people have a dust buster. Remember that, do you guys remember under the accessories? Boy, if you missed that one, what was it called? Sweep-o-matic or whatever, that thing that goes in the toe kick? I don't think you need a dust buster anymore with that thing that goes in the toe kick. But let's say you wanted a dust buster, we could just put one in a pantry and partition it off or whatever. Or sometimes, most of the times it would be in a broom closet, but we'll throw it there. Okay, and then we'll go in and we'll go around the room, left and right of the cooking. I like to get more than that, okay? By code, we need to put one here. Now remember, this counter goes down to this TV area goes down to the counter. So we're gonna need an outlet, show you. Remember, there's our TV, so we need an outlet there, okay? And then we'll need another outlet, since this is more than 4 feet over here, we need an outlet there. We need an outlet for the dishwasher. And then let's just take a cabinet. I know she probably doesn't have it, but let's just assume. How about she had a mixer lift? Let's say this cabinet here was a mixer lift. We can put an outlet in that cabinet so that when she pulls the mixer out and up, there's an outlet already in there. Guys, thanks for helping me. We got a beautiful kitchen done and it's lit. Any questions on anything? Okay. Otherwise, we're going to get you guys out enjoying the day. So again, what this does, just in reviewing, this brings to a close the kitchen aspect of it, except for the 2 bonuses. And email me if you're interested in doing those bonus seminars. I think you'll really enjoy them. And then next week is the home office, and then we go into the bathrooms. It is, if you folks are, again, if you folks are excited to get going this year with a kitchen, I would suggest you start picking it back up. The activity out there is really strong. The contractors are starting to really get busy again. And then the stores are opening up, and a lot of the stuff is online too, where people will still work virtually with you, appliance stores and things like that. So if anybody has any questions or needs help with that, let me know. So if I don't hear you coming next week, thank you very much for attending all the kitchen ones. And from there, we can, if you ever have any questions, you can get in touch with me. Otherwise, thank you guys very much, and enjoy the day. Bye-bye.